Well, good afternoon. How are you all? And welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I'm Steve Smith. For all of you who are new, by the way, welcome to everyone who's new. We've had, 5,000 new folks join up in the last month and a half or something like that. It's good to have you. I want to talk about something important today. Got a question to ask you. I've been out mowing the lawn. It's hot. I've put you all in the shade so that you could stay cool while I'm out here in the sun, but so that it wouldn't glare on the camera. But it is hot. I just got done mowing the backyard, and I'm sitting down because it's Friday and having my first, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, Yingling. If you haven't tried Yingling, if you don't drink it, try it. I don't like that many beers, and I don't like foreign-owned beers. I like American beers. Nothing against. Hey, by the way, I like Canadian beers. I like German beers. I like Australian beers. But you know what the heck? As long as I can support the folks here, I get tired of the political shenanigans among many beer companies. And so far, I don't think these guys have done it. And I like Yuengling. So before I ask you the question, let me ask you the question. I got several questions to ask you. Are you ready for the coming riots? Think about that while I take a sip. Oh, that's good. What riots, Steve? The riots that are coming, folks. And it are coming. Let me ask you a couple more questions before we get to that. Are you, do you have all the food you need? Do you have all the food you need for, your equipment to keep you safe? And then I'll put a third one on that, and if not, why not? Have you not been paying attention? Well, let's catch up. Let's pay attention to what's going on. I've told you before that this reminds me a great deal of the lead up to 1968 and the riots in 1968. I was 14 during that summer in Kansas City, and it really introduced me to the realities of the world. It started off with a bunch of campus riots, or sit-ins, demonstrations, right? Demonstrations that became more than demonstrations. There are some groups back there that some of you all will remember, the SDS, Students for Democratic Society, and the Weather Underground, and Abby Hoffman, and Angela Davis, and a whole bunch of people like that. All the malcontents, all the little commies sent out to stir up all the trouble, right? And it started with campus sit-ins, protests over the Vietnam War. Lyndon Johnson was the president at that time, Democrat. Had built up, just like every Democrat, they built up wars. They want wars because wars is good for them. It makes money for them and their constituents, while they send off all the sons and daughters of the workers to die in the mud or the sand somewhere. You might have to watch me take a few of those during this because it's hot. And so it started with those the campus protests. That wasn't the summer of Kent State, but and everybody said, well, the school year's coming to an end. This will all be over with when all the kids go back to school. And they didn't realize that those protests were being led, organized, financed by professional people, commies. Okay, and it didn't stop when school let out, because the ones who were involved, well, first off, most of the kids who were out there, protesting and yelling and screaming and taking over administration buildings and things like that, most of them weren't going to class anyway, so they were flunking out. And they wanted an excuse, so that when they flunked out of college and mom and dad said, hey, how come we paid all that money and you weren't going to class and you flunked out? They'd say, well, I was doing something more important. I was standing up for justice, social justice around the world and things like that. Sound familiar? And so when school let out, guess what? The real riots started. And the riots started in the cities. And they went to pretty much every city in the country. If it was a city over 1 million people, there were riots there. In Kansas City, I remember We got the lawn maintenance crew out there running these big machines, and just try to ignore that. It's the sounds of Friday in the suburbs, right? And I am glad that they are mowing my throughway out there instead of me having to go out there and do it. So good for them. That's why I pay them the big bucks. In Kansas City, I remember whole blocks of buildings burning. I spent that summer, I won't bore anybody who's already heard it with the story again, but I spent that summer over at my grandparents' house. I lived on the Kansas side in the suburbs, but there was a cute little blonde that lived down on the corner from my grandparents, and I had the hots for her, and so I spent it over there. Well, it was right on the dividing line between, shall we say, different ethnic neighborhoods in Kansas City. And so I had an upfront and personal seat to see what was going on. It was a time I learned. It was a summer I learned a lot. So I remember there were martial law. You couldn't buy gasoline, so everybody's grass was high. You couldn't buy in a container. You could get it, put it in your car. You couldn't get it in a container. So everybody's grass was high. There were curfews. National Guard was patrolling the streets. Whole areas of town burned. I mean, you could see the fires at night, and it showed me how it was my first glimpse, shall we say, of social unrest, and it was very interesting how it happened, and it showed me also the danger of it, how it could erupt at any time, anywhere, and sometimes among people who didn't even realize what they were doing. Well, you see the parallel, one more. Well, probably one of several more. You see the parallel with what's happening this year. And also that year, it was the Democrat. Oh, this is a good one. The Democrat National Committee was having the National Convention, the Democrat Convention in Chicago for the 1968 elections. Well, we see that coming up now. The Democrats aren't they having it in Chicago? It's not like I keep up with the Democrats, right? But I think they are. Whatever. The people now, we're seeing exactly the same thing. We saw it starting on the college campuses. The police are responding finally after a lot of the universities knuckled under. And the universities went out and they were supporting the pro-Palestinian protesters. And finally, now the police are doing something. When it spreads to the cities, you have to wonder whether they're going to do anything, because then it's going to be a separate issue. Right now, everybody's all enraptured with the Palestinian situation, right? And apparently it's cool to be pro-Palestinian amongst those who don't know what they're doing or talking about, who never studied the issue, But it doesn't take much to convince a young idiot to back a ridiculous movement. And so that's what we have. We have a lot of young idiots who, to be honest, haven't been raised properly by their parents, who were sent out there to college with too much money and not enough expectations. And that this is what we get. Well, when school's out, these things are going to move to the cities, I'm pretty sure, and then we're going to see some very serious things happening. We see that our country is now full of people who hate our country, and they have been actively not just allowed to come in, and this is no news to any of you, they have been assisted in coming to our country by our own government. So, we could go on for hours talking about why that may be, but I think I can simply say that our government doesn't like most of the American, it doesn't like those of us, those American citizens like you and I, who stand for traditional values. They want to basically change, like Obama said, they want to change America. And they've been doing a heck of a good job at it. One time I read the 45 goals of the American Communist Party over on the American Reversion channel. And they have accomplished all that goals, and they've been able to do that because they fight the long fight. They have the long-term plan, and they work it. And those of us on the other side, we don't. We have a long-term plan for our families, right? Supporting our families and going to work and building businesses and helping people and things like that. we are not, shall I say, angry at the world like these people are, and it's their anger and their hatred for traditional values that keeps them going, and they're not going to stop. And we're going to see this as it spreads from the students into the streets this summertime. We're going to see a lot of riots. Now, whether the police will respond to this or not, I don't know. It's going to be a lot different than the George Floyd Summer of Love, because you know how our society is right now, right? That was racial, and it wasn't racial, but it was sold as racial, right? Racist cops, actually cops doing what they should have been doing, and just like what Michael Brown, was that his name, and Trayvon Martin, all of these things are based on lies, but the media wanting to promote this idea, and then a citizenry who's too ignorant to know better, they're able to pump this stuff up, all built on lies, but results in billions of dollars worth of property damage, businesses put out of business, burned down, cops hurt and killed, other people hurt and killed, and the police were told to stand down. Why? Because when it's presented as something racial, you can't even object to it. You can't say anything bad about it. If it's something racial, you just have to accept it, because no matter what people do, apparently it's not only forgivable, but it's understandable, and it reminds me of that idiot, that kid that said he was robbed. Some white guy, young guy. He wasn't a man. I mean, he was in his 20s, but he was one of these little sissies, and he got robbed by some black guys, and he said, well, I deserved it. Because I enjoy white privilege. I mean, how do you fight that? How do you? They have brainwashed so many American citizens. I don't know how you come back from that. But in addition to that, we've brought in a whole lot of people from around the world who just hate us, hate our guts, and it wouldn't surprise me at all. Now, I know that there are those who say they have imported, that a lot of these guys coming in are UN troops or this or that. They have imported a lot of them. I'm not going to say that because I can't verify it. Do I have suspicions? Yes, I have suspicions. I can say, well, I suspect that very well could be true, right? But I'm not going to say it because I don't have the proof. What I do know is that a disproportionate number of them are military, as we've said many times before, military-aged males who look like they're in very good shape, especially the ones from China and from the Middle East, and they've come over here, and they are, you can look at them, you can look in their eyes, and you can see they are hard cases, and they are here amongst us now, and I'm afraid that we might see how they are going to be used against us. I'm not going to go any farther than that, but I don't have to, right? You know what I'm talking about. And if it comes to the point that anybody would want to cause a lot of problems in this summer, leading up to the elections, they are here. They have their troops here if they want to use them. Now, there's a couple of ways that they could be used. They could be used to attack the people that they don't like, right, you and I. Or they could be used simply to start enough trouble. Excuse me, I got a gnat in my eye or something. To start enough trouble so that the government, like they did during 1968, imposes martial law. Okay. Are we going to see lockdowns? Are we going to see curfews? Are we going to see some kind of martial law? Were they priming us for that in 2020? Have they been watching? Probably. I don't think there's any doubt. I mean, we've been watching and learning. You think they haven't? Of course they have. These people are not stupid. They're evil, but they're not stupid. So this goes back to my question to you. Are you ready for the riots? Do you have enough food? Do you have enough other things And if not, why not? Why not? My advice to you on this is to get busy. Because if this happens, if this starts to happen the way that I think that it might, and of course that's what we prepare for. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Nobody can say they know. But we can suspect, and we can see, kind of how things are building up. And if you're not able to do that, you got your eyes closed. And if you can see what's happening and you don't do anything to prepare for it, you're, I don't know what to tell you. But very possibly it's coming. So should you stock up on food? Yes, you can stock up on as much food as you can. You should stock up on everything. Don't let there be anything that you would need to go to the store for. I don't care whether it's food, cleaning supplies, medications, whatever, keep your gas tanks full. Keep everything full. Keep your propane tanks. I got 2 propane tanks I have to go out and exchange today because I don't like to have anything, not topped off. You just never know when it's going to pop. Be careful. Be careful this summer and fall. We are coming into what I think very possibly may be the most dangerous time we've ever gone through since domestically, since that war they improperly called a civil war. Okay, and depends on where you live as how dangerous it's going to be. Those of you guys who live out in the small towns, probably not going to affect you at all, except it might affect some deliveries to stores. The Dollar General might not have as much as they usually do. I hope you can hear over that. I'm just not going to stop. As soon as he gets back behind my fence, then it gets lower. And I know there will be a lot of you out there that will say, why do you live in such a busy area? That's terrible. Well, I've explained before, we live exactly where I want to live, and for some very specific reasons, and they are good reasons, and I don't need to explain it anymore. But this is where, and yes, but don't you have a place to go, Steve? Yes, I do. I have several places to go. Thank you. I don't have my books out here, but what I would suggest, by the way, I should have announced this at the very beginning. I just completed book number 7 about an hour ago. Just finished it. Now it's a matter of laying it in, having it edited, and sending it away for a proof copy. But that'll be done over the next few days. And should I tell you the name of it? Tell you what, I will tell you the name of it on the next video. How about the people over on Patreon already know the name of it? But I'll tell you next time. So I just finished the 7th book. If you don't know, I wrote the Stonemont series, The Reversion, the Revival, the Renewal, and Appeal to Heaven, the Blessings of Freedom, and Hostages to Fortune. They are a complete set of 6 novels in serial form in which I explain hidden in a great story all of the preparedness, survival, and community building lessons you could possibly ever want. And they are a great read. And if you haven't read them yet, I would suggest you do, because those who have followed what I teach in there, and it's not a textbook. It's a great 6 novels, great story. Those people are prepared. They're not going to be bothered by anything that's going on this summertime. Okay, but if you haven't read them, I think you really like them. You can get them through Amazon. The link is down below. Or you can get them directly through me, through our website at stonemont.us. On Amazon, they can get them to you in paperback, Kindle, or Audible. Through me, I can only get them to you through paperback, because then I get to sign them for you and, write a note in it to you and all that. So if you're interested in that, and if you haven't read them, you should be, the links are down below. Also, remember that the Integrative Preparedness, the first annual Integrative Preparedness / Stonemont get-together is July 13th in Lenexa, Kansas. And the information is you can come to the Patreon page, and I will put up a link. When I do a video on YouTube, I also put it on Patreon. The link for Patreon is also down below. And then I will put the link to the information, registration information and all that for the get-together below that video when I put it on Patreon. It doesn't cost anything because people are, they're spending money to get here, right? Gas and food and everything like that. It doesn't cost anything. We just want to know who's coming and kind of get everybody registered, because there is going to be a little something that everybody gets when they attend. I'll just leave it at that. Okay, so if you like to come and get together with us in July, we'd love to see you. I'm really looking forward to meeting a lot of people, and I know everybody's looking forward. I don't know if they're looking forward to meeting me or not, but a lot of people are looking forward to meeting each other. We just have a great bunch of people, and so you'll need to join Patreon for that. Well, it's only $1 a month, so okay. So there you have it. Get ready for the summer. Get ready for the riots. Make sure that you have everything that you need. Get it so where you wouldn't have to leave your house for a month if you're not at that point. And then if you are at that point, get it to where you don't have to leave for 3 months, and then 6 months, and then a year. Okay, but we're coming into an interesting time, and it can be a very dangerous time. So do everything you can, I would suggest. And remember, as I always say, we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. So, and you're going to live as well tomorrow as you prepare to. So get out there and do something. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.